guys, how are you? I hope you're all doing very well. This afternoon I'm going to be doing a movie review. This movie is a drama from South Korea, Korean language English subs, released in the year 2010, directed by Sang-soo Im, and this film is called The Housemaid. So The Housemaid is about this very rich family. There's a husband, his pregnant wife and young daughter. They live in this massive house and they need a housemaid. So this elderly woman who works for the family, she interviews a potential employee. This is a beautiful young woman who ends up getting the job. So this young woman is doing all the chores. She's looking after the pregnant wife, she's caring for the daughter, she's cleaning up the house, and this is where she starts to get a connection with the husband. So one evening, the husband and this housemaid have an affair, and it leads to a few more affairs. And this ultimately has a devastating effect because there are going to be consequences for their actions once this affair becomes public knowledge. So what happens and what the consequences are for everyone involved is something you're going to have to find out for yourself, because that's as far as I'm going with my synopsis. Now my thoughts on The Housemaid. Coming into this film, I didn't actually know this was a remake. Now this is actually based on a film from the 1960s in South Korea, so for that I was actually surprised. So I haven't actually seen the original, so I can't tell you what this is like compared to that, but if you have seen the original and you want to make comparisons, please feel free to do it in the comment section below. So coming into this movie, it was actually a blessing in disguise that I hadn't seen the original, because the problem with originals and remakes is that you don't necessarily want to do it, but you're always comparing it in your head with the film that came before it. So coming into this movie, I wasn't comparing it to anything, and I was going to actually treat it as a film on its own. And I'm so glad I did, is because I actually really found this film extremely fascinating. I think this is a movie about social classes. I think this is a movie about how upper class can really manipulate the lower class into doing what they want. And it's basically a tale about greed and your own selfish progression in life as over everybody else. And it was a chilling film as well. It was a very sad film. It was actually a movie that hit me in a lot more emotional depth than I thought it would. It's because these characters I've really gone into. So this big house owned by this rich family was actually a battle of social classes. You've got this housemaid, this elderly woman who works for this family. They're treated like dogs. They're treated like lesser beings because of the fact these people earn so much more money. So they're always looking below and looking down on them, and it makes you feel a strong connection with this housemaid. It actually makes you feel this housemaid is very vulnerable. She's very naive, she's very innocent, but that innocence is being corrupted by this husband. So when the adultery actually takes place, you don't necessarily feel a lot of hatred for this woman, because you think that she's being used to the point where you don't think that she is she didn't really want this to actually go the way it did. And so the real villain of the film is this husband, and the shocking part of the movie is how much he has manipulated her and how he doesn't really care for her, but she thinks that his manipulation is actually love, and so she's being tormented, and you got the wife who is being tormented, and you got the young daughter who's being tormented. So everybody comes into the film, and it just feels like a recipe for a time bomb, and it's just basically ticking, 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 and you're waiting for that explosion, and it hits you very hard. It actually promises an explosion, and I will tell you, it certainly delivers on that. This is a very shocking ending, a very dark ending, and I just think it was an incredibly sad ending, and it was one of the best endings I've seen in a long time. A lot of films, their endings really hurt the film, but in this regard, I think the ending really made it, and I just think it was a very subtle movie. It was very, very well shot. The cinematography was very Gothic, and it matched the mood to it. It actually felt like this house was everything that this housemaid needed, but then the elements inside the house were basically corrupting her, and she was becoming a different person, and ultimately leads her to the fate that she suffers at the end of it, which I'm not going to give away, but it's definitely worth sticking it out to actually find out what happens. And so you've got the soundtrack, which was fantastic. Very polished sort of on a technical level, which is everything you'd expect from a Korean film. This is a very erotic film, so be very careful of that. It's not overly explicit in its sex scenes, but it is a little bit stronger than your normal sort of tale of this kind. So if you are very sensitive, you're not going to like that. It doesn't rely on its violence, it doesn't rely on its shocking material as much, but it just shows you a slow burn progression of a woman who has just got herself into a situation where it's gone completely out of control, and everybody is coming into the mix. So you've got the dynamics, the love triangle between the husband, housemaid and wife that I thought worked very, very well. The rest of the cast were great. You've got the elderly woman who actually comes into it too. You've got this pregnant woman's mother who also comes into the film, and every character feels like they have a very strong purpose, and ultimately leads into a film that is very memorable as far as dramas are concerned. So the continuity is very good, and there is a lot to like about this movie. So unfortunately there is a problem with the film, and the problem is that I still thought it was a little bit of a soap opera. It felt like a little bit of melodrama thrown in here and there, and it kind of felt to me, okay, this is like a feature soap opera film. So that, to me, kind of dampens it a little bit, but having said that, it's still a very, very impressive movie that I would highly recommend to anyone out there if you are a fan of this sort of stuff. As I said, it's an indication of, you know, social classes, and when these different social classes meet, how explosive that can be. So it's like as I said, a ticking time bomb that's waiting to explode, and when it does, you will not forget it anytime soon. So overall, for The Housemaid, I'm going to give it 4 stars. Very impressive. Go out there and see it. Alright guys, that's it for my review. Hope you enjoyed it. Till next time, keep watching movies, and I'll see you later. Bye.